Mumbai, India. March 2009, Harshad Mehta sits in a prison cell, dying. Cancer has ravaged his body. He's 47 years old, awaiting trial for crimes he committed a decade earlier. In 1992, this man controlled more money than India's richest families. He lived in a 15,000 square foot penthouse, owned 9 cars, wore Versace suits, and once purchased 60 kilograms of silver idols with cash. Just cash. Then it all collapsed. He was arrested, humiliated, destroyed. The media called him India's biggest scammer, but here's what nobody understood at the time. Harshad didn't hack computers or forge documents. He exploited something far more powerful: trust. The kind of trust that makes bankers hand over millions without asking questions. And he did it using a loophole so simple that when investigators finally figured it out, they couldn't believe it had worked for years. Harshad Mehta grew up middle class in Mumbai. His father worked a modest job. Nothing special. No connections, no wealth, no privilege. After college, Harshad became a stockbroker, one of thousands in Bombay Stock Exchange, fighting for scraps. But Harshad noticed something. The big players, the institutions, the banks, they all needed someone to move money between them. Government securities, bonds, treasury bills, boring stuff, massive amounts. Banks couldn't trade directly with each other efficiently, so they used brokers as middlemen. Harshad positioned himself as that middleman. By 1990, he's handling transactions worth hundreds of millions. Banks trust him because he's fast, reliable, always delivers. What they don't know is that Harshad is playing a different game entirely. Here's how government securities trading worked. Bank A wants to buy securities from Bank B. They can't transfer directly, so they use a broker. The broker gets a document called a bank receipt, or BR, that confirms the securities exist. It's basically an IOU. The BR gets passed around while the actual securities stay in the vault. Simple system, built entirely on trust. Harshad discovered the flaw. Nobody actually verified the securities existed. The BR was just paper. If you had the right signatures and stamps, banks accepted it as real. So Harshad started creating fake BRs. He'd approach Bank A and say, "I have securities to sell you. Here's the BR." Bank A would hand over cash, expecting to receive actual securities. But there were no securities. Harshad took the cash and invested it in the stock market. When returns came in, he'd pay back Bank A with interest. They'd never know the difference. He was running a massive Ponzi scheme disguised as legitimate securities trading. The scale was staggering. Harshad wasn't stealing millions, he was moving billions. At his peak, he controlled roughly 4,000 crore rupees. That's about $1.2 billion in 1992 money from India's banking system. And nobody noticed because Harshad did something brilliant. He didn't just steal the money, he used it to manipulate the stock market itself. When Harshad bought shares, he bought aggressively. Huge volumes. This drove prices up artificially. Other investors saw the rally and jumped in. Media covered it. Analysts called it India's economic miracle. The Bombay Stock Exchange Index went from 1,000 points to 4,500 points in just 2 years. Harshad became a celebrity. Magazines interviewed him, television shows featured him. He gave speeches about his investment strategy, his vision for India's financial future. People worshipped him as a genius. What they didn't realize was that the entire rally was built on money that didn't belong to him. Money he'd essentially stolen through fake paper receipts. But Ponzi schemes have one fatal weakness. They collapse the moment new money stops flowing. And in April 1992, a journalist named Sucheta Dalal started asking questions. She noticed something strange in the banking records. Massive transactions between banks and Harshad Mehta that didn't add up. Securities that seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously. She started investigating, making calls, checking records. What she discovered would bring down India's entire financial system. Because Harshad Mehta didn't just defraud a few banks. He compromised the Reserve Bank of India itself. Subscribe if you like this content. I will be posting daily. Anyways, back to the video. Mumbai, April 23rd, 1992. Sucheta Dalal publishes her investigation in the Times of India. The headline reads, "Scandal in Securities Trading." The article exposes fake bank receipts, phantom transactions, missing securities worth billions. The financial community reads it over morning tea and panics immediately. Within hours, banks start checking their vaults. They're looking for securities they thought they owned. Securities Harshad gave them receipts for. The securities don't exist, never existed, just paper with signatures. The Reserve Bank of India launches an emergency audit. They discover the scale is beyond anything they imagined. 15 banks are involved: State Bank of India, National Housing Bank, Bank of Karad. All of them handed Harshad billions based on fake documents. The stock market crashes. April 28th, the Bombay Stock Exchange falls 570 points in a single session. Investors lose everything: life savings, retirement funds, college tuition, gone. Because one broker figured out nobody was checking the receipts. Harshad's net worth evaporates overnight. The 100 crore rupees apartment, the fleet of cars, the Lexus, all of it seized. But Harshad doesn't run, doesn't hide. Instead, he holds a press conference. He stands before cameras wearing his signature white shirt. His expression is calm, almost defiant. The system is corrupt. I just exposed it. Everyone does this. I'm just the one who got caught. He claims politicians are involved, that he paid bribes to ministers, that the entire government knew about his methods and looked the other way because the stock market rally made India look strong. He promises to name names. The government arrests him immediately, charged with fraud, forgery, criminal conspiracy. Bail is denied. Harshad spends months in Arthur Road Jail, Mumbai's most notorious prison. The man who owned a Lexus now sleeps on a concrete floor. The investigation continues for years. The Janakiraman Committee finds that Harshad manipulated 4,000 crore rupees using fake bank receipts. He artificially inflated over 70 stocks. A CC Cement, one of his favourites, rose 4,400% during his manipulation. When it crashed, thousands of families were ruined. Suicides followed, investors who'd bet everything, small traders who thought the rally would last forever. Harshad fights the charges. His legal team argues that banking regulations were unclear, that other brokers did the same things, that he's a scapegoat for systemic corruption. The trials drag on: 27 criminal cases, 600 civil suits. Harshad appears in court repeatedly, always maintaining his innocence, always insisting he was just better at playing a rigged game. But his health deteriorates. The stress, the imprisonment, the shame. His heart weakens. December 31st, 2001. Harshad Mehta dies of a heart attack in police custody. He's 47 years old. None of his criminal cases have concluded. He dies before receiving a single conviction, technically innocent under Indian law. The legacy he leaves behind is complicated. India reformed its banking system because of him, created the Securities and Exchange Board of India to prevent exactly this kind of fraud, implemented electronic tracking for government securities, made the financial system more transparent. But the reforms came too late for the victims. Families who lost everything never recovered. Banks wrote off billions in losses. Taxpayers absorbed the cost. Harshad Mehta proved something terrifying about financial systems. They run on trust. And when someone understands that, really understands it, they can exploit it for years before anyone notices. He didn't use complex algorithms or offshore accounts, just fake paper and confidence. The simplest con in history, executed at the largest scale India had ever seen. Today, people debate whether Harshad was a criminal or a symptom of deeper corruption, whether he deserves blame or whether the system that enabled him does. But here's what's undeniable. One broker with fake receipts brought down India's banking sector, crashed the stock market, and exposed flaws that regulators had ignored for decades. And he did it all from a small office in Mumbai, armed with nothing but paper, stamps, and the knowledge that nobody was actually checking. The system changed because of Harshad Mehta, but systems always change after the damage is done. India's stock market got regulations, oversight, digital tracking, all of it built on the rubble of what one man destroyed. Harshad died believing he was right, that everyone cheated, that he just did it bigger. Maybe he was right, or maybe that's what every con artist tells themselves when the game finally ends.